2026, nobody should still be paying for.
Ooh, I'm going to get in trouble, so I'm going to be very careful. No one should be paying for it. How about oxygen?
The future is under construction. Construction like not building, but yeah, like building. This is what we're going to cover in our episode 1. I'm your host, Ali Hassan, VP at AppVerticals. Welcome to the season 2. We have Martin Miller with us. Martin, would you like to briefly introduce yourself, who you are, what you have been doing?
Sure. Well, first of all, thank you for having me. My name is Martin Miller. I am a CTO for hire. I work on behalf of a company called FastCTO and also my company called mVision. I've been doing this little style of work for quite a while. I enjoy helping startups go from 0 to 1, which is basically instantiation of an idea through actually a delivery to first revenue. It's a fun journey. I help a lot of non-technical founders. I go across multiple segments, including health tech, insurance tech, which is Yawner for most, and then many consumer-facing and enterprise-facing solutions. That's probably a quickie for you.
Yeah, totally. Martin, excited to have you with us and really love the way we are going to go ahead and cover the topic, which is future is under construction. So, Martin, you have been recognized as Mr. Observability since 2019. Can you define what's that like you? Observability, how do you call it to all of those non-tech listeners, all of this audience, to cover the vast range? Pretty much like consider I'm 10 years old.
Oh boy. So I have to imagine you're 10 years old, which you're only 11 now. So it's not a big reach for me. So let's start with the Mr. Observability part. Well, first of all, the term observability as overlaid into a technology and a technology service sense goes back to monitoring and telemetry, which in simple terms means how are my systemic componentries of my solution doing? Are they healthy? Is the CPU running hot? Is my bag out of wind? Am I out of gas in my car? Little things like that. So it's the metrics of consumable items or services, things that could require intervention for service or intervention for service improvement. And observability is just a term on top of that. Now, the AI folks have hijacked that term a little bit and not fully aware about what they're really asking and saying when they say observability in AI, because many are using that term in AI when they don't even understand what's behind the machine learning puzzle pieces underneath to know what they're talking about, which is I find hilarious. So anyway, got it off my chest. I still maintain my crown of Mr. Observability 2019 moving forward. Thank you.
Yeah, so you bring in AI, okay? And actually, itself has brought up itself, right? So I would say that. Now, keeping in mind the AI part, is it overly hyped or is it really there? I'm still asking very basic questions. To all of those relevant to the audience who are still thinking that their business can survive without AI. So how would you frame that?
Great question. So you're basically asking if it's overhyped in general. Is that a correct assumption?
That is correct.
All right.
Not only just overhyped, but also, should I use AI or should I not?
Okay.
To all of those founders who are doing the business.
Let me do a couple resets here on the direction of the vectors I'll go after. So first off, AI can be another tool in the tool shed for you for doing your work. Does it replace subject matter expertise that you may have? No. Can it augment? Yes. Are you going to build fully autonomous AI agents replacing whole teams? Don't be silly, but AI agents are powerful. Enterprises can leverage them. They have still fragmented value based on the data sets they're working with. In certain contained environments, you can use it for capturing how undocumented processes might be not going correctly to under governance guidelines. You might be able to pick up pieces of that. As an advantage in a large enterprise, giving an AI agent autonomy to fixing everything in the world, that's a little overhyped. But we do recognize that there has been some maybe overcorrection in where people drive their money for investment around AI, and maybe some misguide of what's the difference between AI and a wrapper being used. So, I'll go with it. But I didn't just get into AI today. I mean, mine goes back way back to, saving little bits of information for a little mouse going around a maze, which is the early phases of digital machine learning. So this journey's been a long time coming, and I'm super excited.
Yes, Matt, you do podcast, and you mentioned the people first approach, right? And I feel there's a need to ask it why the people first approach while building a product is not being catered, and this is done at later stages. And can you specify the cost with the relevant example that you observed through the small businesses to the enterprise levels as well? One particular example, just in case, where people first approach was negated or neglected or blindsided, and they just solved the equation with one-handed only.
Well, I guess all you have to do is listen to Mr. Zuckerberg in his addressing to the public of why he's, let go of X thousand people. And, that there's a classic example of, where the best laid plans and the best funded type of projects may not be the best resulting ROI. So not throwing him under the bus completely, but maybe recognizing that sometimes there's not a there, even though you have billions to put behind it. And so cast that back for all the people that follow those directions and think they have to be part of failure due to fear of missing out, FOMO. And you get a lot of copycats. So a lot of organizations are going to copy what other ones think they're doing, and they fail. When the top one fails and the ones in the middle and the bottom fail, it's only natural to see that. So start small, prove it, fund it when you prove it. Don't overfund it. That's probably the first thing, no matter what we're working on. It doesn't even have to be about AI.
This unfolds another layer. What specific is the overfunding? How do you quantify that? Where exactly the founder is needed to put a pin to it? Walk me through.
Take a specific domain, and it may not be well penetrated with AI in the early days, and look at then the number of people that flock to that same idea very quickly. How about advice on retirements or in retirement planning and how you should do that? There's an AI agent for that. It's also built at the foundational levels too. But does it recognize you? Does it recognize what your scenario is? You have to feed it. So, we don't need 50,000 AI agents that do financial planning for me or recognizing my retirement plans. We don't. That's right. But we do need a trustful way of going after that type of solution that doesn't compromise my value as a human and my investments, if that makes sense.
Totally. Now, again, covering another part of the AI agents. If you could just hand over just one part of your business. Tons of AI agents are in the market. Even AI agents are building AI agents, So just imagine about it. What's the one point of your business to an AI agent first you would like to hand it over? And how would you choose it? Because I want you to frame this question for the one who, first of all, define AI agent as well. I want to go very basic first, okay? What exactly the AI agent is and how we can delegate the task towards it.
Okay, so this is a loaded question. So I can't say everybody that's listening here has heard what I'm about to say, but the ubiquity of getting access to a prompted response has been here now for a couple years, and various channels to getting it, and people put wrappers around it, or they build a version of their own. A lot can be given to an AI agent under a scenario where it does document processing activities for you that can help speed up and augment what an individual human can do and really improve that business. I can give many use cases. I did mention I did solutions for a couple different domains, but imagine correlating insurance codes, classification codes for types of work automatically using an AI agent to do that. Will it be 100%? Probably not, but it could probably be at a percentage that's very acceptable for then a human to scan and find the errant conditions. And do you need an army of humans to do this? Probably not. So there's where a little bit of reduction in force that I alluded to comes in, and where some manual processes, homegrown solutions, tribal knowledge start to fall apart, and the machine takes over, if that makes sense.
100%. So specify that business model or to specify the business role, for example, where the 4D framework, commonly it's called, right? With the description to discernment or diligence, right? So walk me through, Martin. I hope you're able to understand that question and frame it in a position that what's that particular part which I have to hand over to AI, and which I feel personally that I should not hand it over to AI, because AI can do numerous multiple things, and that's deep down inside internal integrity comes into the play as well. And I'm loading it up with the ethics as well. So again, I want to roll that out in a big burrito just to make sure we get to know and to unsurface those hidden layers like peeling an onion.
Wow. Well, I prefer to remove the onions from my burrito. It's a little rough on my stomach. So, and I'll go with carne asada or chicken or both together, some rice and beans, and prefer the black beans most of the time, and then the Spanish style rice, and then slip in some guacamole and some salsa, and of course, I'm a sucker for the sour cream. So there you go. I have a monster burrito
You
sitting
covered
in
our
front of me.
audience.
I know.
You could.
I hope you
Wow.
guys are hungry on this
Oh
day
yeah.
of the week, and we'll make sure you're really savoring to go out for some south of the border cuisine pretty soon. But AI is not by itself the end game here. It's an augmentation to many end games. And to use my solution has AI is like saying I just built a Winchester mystery house, and that may go over the heads of most of the audience because they can Google that. You can look up Winchester Mystery House and look at the story of that. But adding a room to a home and then have a door open and the door hits a wall and goes nowhere is building a Winchester Mystery House. So adding AI to your product could be adding a Winchester Mystery House to your solution. It is not the end game. AI is not your end game. It is something to help optimize on, maybe open up new insights, and help remove barriers for solutions.
It's a beautiful analogy, Martin. I must say that it's a wonderful analogy that you came up with. Now let's progress our conversation towards the founders who are using AI. Okay, we covered that part with the businesses that are not towards the AI. They gotta move themselves. And now moving towards the founders who are using AI, how do you feel when they tell it as a founder? When a founder, says we're using AI, how do you feel it's real or just a wrapper on someone else's model? You said that. You said that in a previous part, but I want to bring
Yeah,
that
yeah,
up.
yeah.
Just made a
Okay.
note, and I want to make sure we address that.
Okay, so I'll be clear. I've listened to so many pitches in the last 3 years. It's I think it's 5 digits now. Anything from a 1 minute pitch to a 25 minute pitch to actually due diligence phase of that company. And to me, if anything starts with leading AI, I pretty much push it to one side of the equation and almost discount anything they say because I'm listening for the salient important things. What is the customer problem? What are you solving? How are you making life better? Don't tell me AI. Tell me about what you're doing that's unique. Where's your secret sauce? Tell me where you're adding your value. Okay, now you overlay. We're using AI in our development processes to help streamline the headcount that we have for our development team. My development team is 5, not 25. And that really can greatly tell a story about operational costs of running that business and the need for funding of that business, because it's a much leaner team to fund 5 developers versus 25 developers. And I'll tell a quick story here. A CEO for a company that's self-funded has a run rate. It's 9 numbers, just to put it really clear. And he was talking to me about becoming the CTO. And he was telling me all the great stories of how AI is applying in their development processes and their automation, their testing, their regression. he told me all these stories. And then on top of that, told me about the team size. And I got it pretty excited. It wasn't too big. It was in the double digits. It was under 100, but it wasn't a large number. And then he was talking about how he wanted to scale up to 500 engineers. I'm going, wait a second. You just told me about all this automation you're doing with so few people and you have double digits. Why are you going to cascade up that many digits in the head count? Was that to be impressive to me or the investors? Because to me, it just did the opposite. And I said, I gave him a feedback of it doesn't sound like you're really using AI in your development process as you're advertising, because why would you need to have 300 engineers all of a sudden? It makes no sense. So I listen to these things all the time. And then when we get to due diligence and we start talking, the whole game changes and falls apart. Listen carefully. Listen for where it's being used, how it's being used. And founders, beware. Those that use AI may run past you, but those that just talk of AI, they may just squander.
Martin, again, very wonderful thoughts behind all that. And it's a very useful tip for all those founders who are going to go ahead to move towards the pre-seeding or the venture capitalist rounds and all that. Covering that part, you uncovered those layers and you Chinese their own data at the same time. How to avoid that situation? What one advice you would like to give the young founders who are coming to pitch you an idea? What is that? Not only the problem for the people that they're trying to solve, we covered that part, but what that one advice that you want to give to them?
Interesting. Couple things. Well, first of all, what is your uniqueness that you're bringing to the table? What is it your angle to doing something differently? Because there are many solutions you may be walking through, and it's your lens says I can do this better. Okay, great. That's awesome. I'd love to hear that. How are you doing it better? How are you going to do it cost effectively? And don't focus on the AI prompting part of it. Focus on the how it's going to get better and why it's going to be better. And where is going to be that conversion to revenue and revenue in big numbers, and how you're going to get there and your use of funds. Talk to me about that as an early founder. I know that's, like talking to a 16-year-old that has an idea, that's rough. They don't have the experiential time in their life to probably go through that. But I've met 16-year-olds with a great idea that turned into millions, and I've met 40-year-olds, same place. And then people in the middle that are still locked in on some technical aspect as being the solution. If you're going to do a technical aspect based solution, it better be close to foundational or close to silicon, or you're pretty much talking on deaf ears to me.
Impressive. Martin, I want to know more about it. I want to talk further on it. There are two types of the founders. One is like Elon Musk. I personally really like him because the approach towards the execution. We're going to go to the Mars. It's not just that, hey, we might go to the Mars. Which founder personally you like the most? The one who is challenging and who has set a timeline in his mind and has a dream to be solved with some real executional ground? Or the one who is humble and want to route towards a democratic kind of a might could have statements?
Well, there's a place for those two archetypes. So and there's a place in between. And there's a place to hybrid around all of that. I'm not here to discount the success of what you described from Elon. I clearly being, in that richest man of the world kind of competition, he's in that game.
Yeah.
I'm not here to knock him down. There's nothing I could do to knock him down. In fact, he could probably pull this podcast offline before you can blink an eye. So I think the thing to learn from an Elon Musk for a new founder, a new entrepreneur, is he actually has a deep understanding and an ability for immersion into an area that needs a solution. If there's a problem, I'm going to sit in the middle of your group and I'm going to listen. I'm going to listen how you do it. And I'm going to challenge you and I'm going to say, hey, why can't you do that in half the time or a quarter of the time? And that has nothing to do with AI, by the way. That's just being in the middle of a problem statement and causing havoc and just rolling the dice and changing direction. And it makes people upset because they want to sit in their corner and just focus. But sometimes those alternative thoughts are wonderful for bringing in new solutions. And that's what he's brought to the game. by the way, he's not the only one that brought this game. We can go back in time and we can talk about Apple Computer, and we can talk about other companies, similar types of founders of very visionary sense. So I'm with you on that.
Yeah. So under this segment of this future is under construction, I want to cover that part. What's going on right now, Martin? Where are we going? And the most people won't fully appreciate for 5 years or want to talk more about it. What is being constructed? And the fun part that happened in the recent past on some of the Claude researchers, they found it has its own central nervous system, which is using the data internally, training itself, and understanding the languages, framing itself, acting, thinking like human, which is fierce at the same time, scary at the same time. Walk me through what is being built right now.
Well, that is a systemic solution. It's not like a single threaded solution. Most people you're talking to are building single threaded solutions that solve a specific problem or set of problems. What's behind that is very systemically large scale. It is consuming a lot of electrons and creating a lot of heat, using a lot of cooling technology. But it doesn't fit on your wrist or fit in your pocket, right? So it is a large scale solution. And the funny thing is, if you go back in time, it wasn't that long ago, the early days of Silicon Valley, when we used to sit in a cafe or a coffee shop and we used we used a napkin to draw solutions or a piece of scratch paper and talking about our startup ideas. And young gentlemen, once like myself at that time, would sit around drawing pictures of things we were thinking about that would commit into either silicon or software or the two together. And I think I miss those days. They're still hugely valuable to do that type of collaboration. We could do it digitally too. I see the future as having a lot of blind spots coming where people are overly dependent on what they think is knowledge of a machine and thinking of the machine that may be flawed and accepting it as valid. And so using a machine as an emotion tracker of things might be a little risky. Detecting things of emotion based on sentiment of typed words would be very dangerous. Using it for sentiment of individuals outside of its ecosystem via voice, like I'm talking. Am I being facetious now, or am I being very serious, or I'm doing something very obscure to mess with it? That would be very dangerous. To use that as a moment of truth, I challenge those machines to pick up my sentiment and with any accuracy to know what I'm really thinking inside my brain, because the brain is way more complex than we've been able to model. And anybody in these areas doing research realize we are the magic and it is augmenting us. So how do we leverage that without killing humanity? And at the end of this, these machines aren't reproducing. They aren't creating their own silicon. They aren't able to create natural resources on their own. They need guidance. Guess where that guidance comes from? That's right, Ollie. We're going to be knocking on your door, and we're going to need to pull out a couple picks and shovels and start pulling out the ore out of the ground to build stuff.
This is impressive, Martin. This is impressive. I want you to go back in those days, okay, and grab one of the napkins of the pictures of the images that you used to draw for a second. From where you sit right now, where does this real AI adoption look like for normal companies that are not in that bubble?
Sure. Okay. So now we're talking, brick and mortar businesses. Let's think about traditional brick and mortar that have now come digital.
Mom and pops, maybe. Yeah.
Well, and mom and pop could be digital and brick and mortar, or just, all virtual too. So let me give a facetious scenario and help you out. So imagine you're at an outlet store and it's, the Levi's outlet store, and you're in line and you got your items and you're going to go to checkout and you're prompted on the screen and there's some solution behind there and it says, would you like to donate for the ailing narwhals in the North Sea, um, which may or may not be there to help save their lives, or would you like to help round up your money to save the swimming guinea pigs in the Sea of Cortez from the orcas? And then you say, of course, yes. Oh, I want to save the guinea pigs, and then and later, you check out and you rounded up your funding from $12.01 to $13 and feeling good about the 99 cents going to save the guinea pigs from the orcas. And then you leave, and sometime in the future, you hear about Russian adversaries have infiltrated Levi's IT point of sale systems to fund their use of something, right? And this is where AI goes wrong, right? So AI can't be the solution for everything. It's an augmentation, and all bets on those people that think AI is everything.
So that also leads to another question, which is the same point of view where AI is flat wrong, that people are thinking that it's everything, it's an augmented solution.
So when I think of a conversation of authenticity, I think of the conversation I'm having looking at you and chatting, right? These kind of conversations. And so picking up this transcript, what the AI will pick up is some of my facetiousness, right? It will be able to pick that sentiment up. Will AI be able to pick up my mental state and thinking about what my kids are doing and how my kids are thinking? No, it won't. I'm not worried about that. I want trained professionals to have that dialogue and be able to go after that, those directional vectors to talk about things that might be really important if we're going to talk about mental health. And there are elements that we benefit from. And if I was to, take a small upstart and saying, how am I going to use AI in my business? I might use it to help with my marketing campaign and help me measure because I don't have a tech team, and use the AI to help me find the solutions that help me solve problems that will help me drive more business. And I'd love to help see the $1 billion 5-person company successful. And by the way, there are a couple approaching that. And that's super exciting. They're more than 5 people, but they're fundamentally 5 people and then a cascade of staff beyond that. But generally speaking, the command and control of a $1 billion plus company of 5 people is amazing to see how they did that.
So you're built across a lot of roles and companies. And when you zoom out and rewind the whole tape of your life, in other words, if I say so, what future you personally trying to build?
For me?
Yeah,
Yeah.
personally.
Personally, I'm here for the startup journey, and I love helping innovation happen. I love to see founders successful. It's a warm spot in my heart, just because I've lived a life of startups, a few enterprises in the middle of all this, but startups are where my passion lies. And I like the out of band thinking that someone will bring to a problem solution statement and find ways of doing something more interesting. It's my passion point, and I hope others live that passion. I know there's a lot of people that love to think they do that, and the difference is actually doing the hard work and all the homework to position yourself to be in that capability. Knowledge is power. The more knowledgeable you are, your education, your craftsmanship, your artisan skills that you learn to help your trade, the more valuable you are, period. Doesn't matter what you do.
The way you put it, it's just like a put a period in that. It's there. It's well delivered. Now, before we go towards the rapid fire and one-liner question answer session that we do at the end, one last question that I want to bring that up. To all of those founders who are listening right now, what's one piece of advice that you would like to give them do differently starting from tomorrow?
How are you going to make someone else's life different? How are you going to improve it? Ask yourself those 2 questions. And if you have no answer, you probably have no solution.
I'm out of words. This is amazing. This is an amazing piece of advice that you gave, Martin. Straight out from the heart, no fluff. Now, let's move to the final round, which is one line each, right?
Oh, you're going to hold me to one line? Oh, good luck.
Yeah, yeah. Just one line. Okay, that's the rule of the game. Okay. So, most overhyped AI use case right now.
Oh, my goodness.
One line.
Agentic AI solves your problem.
And most underrated one.
AI can't help me.
In 2026, nobody should still be paying for dash fill in the blank.
Ooh, I'm going to get in trouble, so I'm going to be very careful. No one should be paying for. How about oxygen?
We're paying for water. Yeah, oxygen is something that's the next, But by the way, there are oxygens also being sold.
I know, and they're humorous to think of too, and they have flavors.
Being a CTO, every tool the CTO brags about and they do not have it. And they don't really want to get it.
I'm missing, where am I going with this?
Just one tool that every CTO brags about, but does not really get.
My data is easy to get to because I'm using blank tool.
I want to know that blank tool. No filters.
Oh, I have to be careful.
That's okay.
Okay. Google solved it for me. How's that? There we go.
It piques my interest. I want to know more about it.
Well, Google has a lovely ecosystem, but they're walking the line of doing very novel, foundational, and risky things at enterprise to consumer levels. So let's just be clear that they have intelligence that everybody has seen the class action suits. They're not the only one that under these, but they're walking that line between a class action suit and a novel solution always, and in competition with itself to do it. So fundamentally, they had the financial resources to outrun many of the novel solutions you see out there today, but they couldn't. They were regulated to not be that.
Impressive. Next one, the AI skill you would tell a 22-year-old to learn today.
Wow. How about read my book that I co-authored with John Suka, AI in a Weekend. It's about a 2 to 4 hour read, depending on your ability to comprehend. And it's intended at a high level to talk about from use case to machine learning to a little bit about prompting, but we don't get a lot into prompting intentionally. We're talking the foundational stuff that's behind all this. And it's a valuable quick read. I think that I would give that to a 22-year-old to a 75-year-old.
That's a good range. So yeah, one last question and we'll wrap up this podcast. Startup equity or enterprise salary? Pick one.
I'm greedy as all hell. I get both. So
pick one.
So this is how I'm here, and my home is paid for. I have no bills on a home. And that came from startup equity and a salary at the same time. But I put in the hard work to get it. I put in the hard work. So, working for free equity only is a risk line I've done. It's only paid off once out of the number of times I've done it. But out of the goodness of my heart, I still do it. For the right mission, I will do it. Not so much to make big money, because that's not what I'm after these days. But for someone young coming up, it's good experiential opportunity for them to figure out how to fail fast. Learn how to fail fast. Not that you fail, but what's the process of winning? Because your ability to correct from failures is what's the magic of all things you do.
So one key takeaway is learn how to
fail a lot. Fail a lot. Just don't, it's like, think of dating, okay? And imagine you were to do speed dating. If you've ever know what that phenomenon could be like at a lunch table, and every 5 minutes you're going to get up and go to the next table. There's no guarantee that one person you were conversing with for 5 minutes will want to hear you talk again for another 5 minutes. That may be the last 5 minutes of your life you spoke to that person. So take the risk, put yourself out there genuinely, and use that communication device that you have to be able to share why you might be interesting and why you might want to learn more about them. Be able to listen too.
That's an important key takeaway as well at the end. Martin, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate you came into the show and gave us your enlightened thoughts. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Well, make the day great. And remember to pick up my book, AI in a Weekend, an executive's guide, available in ebook format everywhere.
Thank you.
Thank you.